Right there. Go.
Okay, so I guess we're ready. We'll call the meeting to order. First order of business, Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next item is public comment. Looks like we don't have any. Okay, and now get to the original agenda. First item is approval of the November minutes.
I'll move to approve the November minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second, so the minutes are approved.
Oh, you have to call for a vote.
Now we vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So it passes. The second item is the appointment of a new, let's see, right here, huh? Commission chairman and vice chairman. Since I'm vice chairman, I'd like to nominate Scott for chairman.
I'll second it.
Ask for any other nominations.
Any other nominations? All those approve? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So Scott will be the new chairman. And now nominations open for vice chairman.
I nominate Katie.
Okay, all right. Any other nominations?
I'll nominate you, Mike.
Thank you. Any other nominations? So, you nominate?
I'm sorry?
Who did you nominate?
I nominated
Katie.
Katie.
Oh, Katie? Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. So I guess we vote on it now, huh?
Correct.
So all those in favor of Katie for vice chairman, say aye.
Aye.
And all those for me.
Aye.
Aye.
I guess I'm the new vice chairman.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
So I guess changing gavels here.
Now, switch seats, right? Don't they switch seats or?
Do we need two for you?
Okay. I don't care.
Okay. First we'll hear items pertaining to the Boulder City Municipal Golf Course, operational and verbal reports from Roger Hall. So we first need an approval of the operational report of the Boulder City Municipal Golf Course. All in favor?
I
You have discussion?
I motion to approve it.
I'm sorry. All in favor?
You have a second?
We have a second, and all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now Roger, we'll hear from you on your verbal report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with the increase in the warm weather, the golf round seems to be increasing at the Boulder City Golf Course. Workers are getting ready for the improving temperatures. Workers continue to trim and rake the traps, to pick up leaves, to fix irrigation heads and valves, and to trim trees. Fertilizer for the spring will go down pretty soon, normally in late February, early March. I had a chance to ride the course last week, and the overseed, which was done on the fairways, and the tee boxes seem to have filled in really well. And I know when they put down the fertilizer, the grass is really going to pop. I'm looking forward to seeing And basically, for everyone's knowledge, we closed down for 2 weeks while we did a complete overseat. It was the first time we've done that. And so the complete course was closed down for 2 weeks while we overseeded the fairways and tee boxes. And it seems to have worked out really good. We'll check it out in the spring once the fertilizer's put down. And that's the end of my report.
Very good. And we'll move on to items pertaining to the Recreation Division. Do we have a motion to approve the report?
I move.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And Jennifer Spinkling.
Hi there. Working on the new brochure that comes out for March through September. I was hoping to have it for you today, but we're still working on it. I know Cherie's been busy and she's making some changes, so we're allowing a little extra time. One of the new things that I have is a new instructor, Linda Schaefer, and she doesn't just teach one class, she has about 6 different ones. So she'll teach something different each month. And she started this month with mono printing, which is where they use rollers and jelly pads and nature. And like you put a leaf on it and then you roll over it and it puts it on a card, and they just do a lot of different, of course, creative things with that. And then this next month she's doing an abstract acrylic painting class. She does earrings, she does accordion books. I know I'm forgetting a couple, but she's going to do a different one each month, and it'll be a 4-week class. And she also is doing it where if you wanted to do one of those classes and had some friends, she would schedule it at another time and teach that as well. So, but both of her first 2 classes had enough people to take off. For February, she already has 4 people registered for the class. So I'm excited about her. With Robin leaving, I have a couple vacancies for summer. I'm looking for a summer art camp instructor, and I am talking to a couple of our current instructors. I know that Denise Connell has been wanting, her class really hasn't gotten off the ground, and I think she'd be a good fit for that. Also wanting somebody to do some art projects with our safety program. So I'm looking to Denise for that. And then I don't know if any of you heard about the youth center. They had a lock-in over the day before New Year's, and it was very successful. They took 12 kids, and they came in at 6 o'clock on the 30th, and they did things in the gym. She told me one thing they did was they turned out the lights, and they all had glow-in-the-dark glasses on, and they played tag in the dark, and they had to find them. They got a bonfire, which they had approved for the fire department, and they did a weenie roast and marshmallow roast. They went to the Cinedome movie theater. They played in the arcade and went to a movie and went till 7 a.m. And I think, I asked Debbie, I don't think I could stay up all night. And Debbie's at my age, and she's like, they just kept him going, and they, were fine. She goes, I needed time to recover after, but the kids had a ball and want to know when they're going to do it again. So no, we didn't have any issues, no safety concerns. It went very smoothly, and everybody had a really good time. So Debbie's just always coming up with very innovative, fun things that the kids like to do. So, and then my other, Mary Henson, Scott's wife, she has been taking over our Learn to Stretch class, which is for seniors, and she's changed the name. She's done a fitness test that I told you all about, and her class has doubled in size. She came to me and asked if we could get a few more pieces of equipment for her class, and we're excited to see it taking off. So, she's really been working hard at building her numbers, and I see success in that. So, just wanted to highlight that. So, I think that's about all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
No questions? What were the ages of the kids that did is that the?
Youth Center is 6th through 12th. They, once they turn 18, they are no longer able to participate,
Right.
but
Great. So next we'll hear a verbal report from Sports Coordinator Kelly Lair.
Hi, guys. We have men's basketball. I'm starting with adult sports. Men's basketball is starting their second round of games for their league play. They play on Tuesdays and Thursday nights beginning at 7 o'clock in the new gymnasium. We have 7 teams, approximately 53 participants. We'll have more than that when the tournament comes because they like to try and bring in all the big wigs and try and take that tournament title. We are currently accepting registrations for kickball, which, if we get enough teams, will be playing the end of February through March down at Hemingway Fields. February, we host meetings for the spring sports, so women's volleyball, which was growing in the fall, and then men and co-ed softball, which will begin in April. I've had 2 new teams inquire for volleyball and co-ed softball, so I think that's growing, and that's good news for adult sports. In youth sports, we have 2 more weeks of youth basketball. 3rd through 4th grade boys league, they play on Mondays and Wednesdays, so tonight right after the meeting in the new gymnasium. Girls, we combined. They're 3rd through 6th grade. They play at 7 on Mondays and Wednesdays right after the little boys. And the girls are playing a 3-on-3 league. Our numbers are really low. And so we did a 3-on-3 and we combined the ages, but they're having a blast. We just got confirmation from the high school. The older boys, I just left out, play on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they play at 6:30 and 7:30 in the old gymnasium. And we just got confirmation from the vice principal at the high school, and she's going to have the older boys and the girls league play on February 11th at the halftime in the Boulder City High School gymnasium, which they loved last year, and then they invited the girls this year. So that's senior night for Boulder City High School, so the kids will be able to see the hoopla for the seniors and be able to be a part of the gymnasium experience at the high school and be in the crowd, and then come down and play at halftime and be recognized for Parks and Recreation basketball. And so they're excited about that. We have kindergarten through 2nd grade hockey. We began our opening ceremony, and thank you to Tom and Mike and Katie for being there on Saturday. It's a fun time. It's a historic league for us, and so it's kind of fun to see all the Rotarians come out in the red shirts, and they support because they're our sponsors. And the gym is just packed. And I have pictures I'm going to give to you. Roger takes good pictures. I took a couple. I've got pictures of the basketball leagues, the little kids hockey, and adult men's basketball too, recent pictures. We have 4 kindergarten teams and 6 1st through 2nd grade teams, 82 total participants. The league plays in the old gymnasium on Saturday mornings and will play through March. We have a 3rd through 6th grade clinic on February 15th. So the flyers go out tomorrow to the schools, and they will be playing weekdays, Mondays and Wednesdays, starting at the end of March, and they'll play through April, right before baseball starts in May. So this is a role for us. Springtime is very busy for youth sports. On a side note, the Golden Knights Youth Enrichment and Development also contacted me last week, and their program, they love to come out here in the summer. So they'll do another enrichment clinic, and we've had a successful turnout in the past, and I've asked them to kind of change the age category if we can to get more. They'll say, we want junior high, and then last time it was 4th, 5th, and 6th. And so depending on what age group they're going for, I contact people that have been part of our program, and they've given away everything from towels from their inaugural season to hockey sticks to pucks to goalie equipment. And they're super supportive of our program. Youth organizations, we just have a lot going on in our gyms. Boulder City High School softball and baseball, they began their intramurals. They're on the fields. They're at Wayland and Bravo right now, so you'll see the lights on. They also have a Henderson Girls Softball Association team that's a little bit younger. They're playing on Bravo as well. We have 2 club volleyball teams that are using our ABC gymnasium after school and into the evening, and we have an indoor futsal training group for a club soccer group that's using our gym. And then we have a pitching and catching coach that's working in there. So besides Jennifer's things that are going on in there with line dancing and the dog obedience, that gym is being utilized. Pickleball, it's busy all the time. And then my big work to do before I see you guys next is I'm actively looking for baseball sponsors and a guest speaker for our annual opening ceremony, which I'll invite you all to, and that's going to be May 7th. I've contacted the Aces, the Raiders, the Aviators. I try and get somebody out from sports. We have so many to choose from now, and we see if we can get them to come out to the outlying areas, such as Boulder City. Haven't heard back yet. I'm still working, and that is it. Do you have any questions for me?
I just want to make a comment on the hockey. I was extremely impressed, first, how well organized it was, and secondly, the opportunity it gives the boys and girls, which all look the same height, kind of, to play together. I mean, I was really impressed, and I'm going to swing down and watch a few of the games or practices or whatever they're doing, but well done.
And it's a good time, and couldn't do it without the coaches. So Katie's on your
Yeah.
right, and she's one of them, and I couldn't do it without her.
Yeah.
I have a question. What time is the basketball game on February 11th?
So the varsity girls game will start at 5 o'clock. So I'd like to have the girls in at 4:45 to watch the senior night festivities and watch the first half of the game. And so it'll be anywhere between 5:30 and 5:45 for that game. The boys play at 6:30, so the little guys will be playing probably close to 7. And I'll have them show up at 5:15 in the gym, and they just come in, they get free admission, and they come sit together in the stands.
I'm sorry. The guys' game starts at 7?
The boys start at 6:30, so
30.
I'm going to have them meet at 6:15. So we'll have 2 batches, 2 different times.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on to item number 5, will be pertaining to the Aquatic Division. Need a motion to approve the operational reports for the Aquatic Division.
I move.
Wait, hang on one second.
Did I miss something?
Item D, there's a verbal report,
I'm sorry. I had moved on.
and it's a really good one.
Item D of item 4 would be Parks and Recreation Manager Julie Calloway.
So a couple of things I left on the dais for you and available for public as well. One is the golf surcharge report, which you also had one in your packet. However, we did not have the calculations from November and December, and I got those late last week, so I wanted to just include that updated version of the surcharge report. And just as a reminder, surcharge funds are used for golf course improvements. One of the big improvements that we'll be spending that money on in the near future will be golf carts in a couple of years. So we kind of have other projects, CIP projects, are also come out of that account. So I wanted to give you that updated information. Also provided the master events special events master list calendar for the next 12 months for everything that we currently have on the books. That of course is changing every single day as we have new inquiries that come in and people wanting to have events out here. Some recent projects, Vets baseball fields. If you haven't been down there lately, we have 8 new shade structures that are covering the spectator bleachers. So it'll be really nice for our residents to be able to have some shade options while they're watching their kids play in the Little League. So that is a nice addition. Wayland Field. We're working on getting the permitting for that. It's a little bit more extensive shade structure based on the design of that bleacher complex, but that'll be the next one. Hopefully before games start the beginning of March, we'll have shade structures for that facility. Another project that was recently completed was improvements to the safety surface at Broadbent Park, which is a sand playground area. We've removed most of the sand and then replaced it with fresh playground sand so that it just improves what that surface structure is and adds a little bit more cushion for participants. Upcoming safety surface maintenance will include putting a protective coating on our pour in place safety surfacing, which we have at Hemingway, Veterans Memorial Park, and Bicentennial Park. And every 2 years, they recommend doing the safety surface recoating, which is in layman's terms like just a protective coating, protecting it from use from the sun, like a sunscreen coating for your skin, just to make the surface last a lot longer. Another surface that we will be improving will be ABC Park Outdoor Court, which we're going to have it be a lined pickleball court. So that'll be an outdoor surface that has been basically transformed so it can be used for multiple things, but we're hoping that we'll get some more pickleball activity out there. And we do have quotes for 2 other locations. So if we have a lot of activity at ABC Park, we'll be moving forward possibly to Hemingway Park and Del Prado Park as well in the near future. The last thing is we redid one of the ramps at Veterans Memorial Park Skate Park, and people are loving it. Not for the, necessarily for the beginner or the novice. We do have other apparatus for that, because one section of it is quite high, but they are loving it. So it's kind of exciting. So that's what we have as far as projects. One real administrative thing coming forward that Parks and Rec Commission will be a major part of. We've been talking about it for over a year, and that's our Parks Master Plan. We will be presenting the draft of that to you in a special meeting planned for the end of February. We're looking at February 24th, which will be the 4th Monday in February, to have a special Parks and Recreation meeting to go over the draft of the Parks Master Plan. So more information to come on that. Any questions?
Julie, on the pickleball courts at ABC, that's, right now there's a box there where you check out. Is that going to be some kind of a setup like that in the future?
So the box right now does have pickleball equipment, and yes, that will continue. So that'll kind of be like the pilot-ish program, because while we've had that equipment out there, I don't think we've had a lot of use for it. And so we're saying, okay, we'll take it one step further and surface the court, mark the court, see if we have more of an interest and use of it, and then if that's successful, move forward to other courts.
Where will you check that out at? In the weight room?
Correct.
Okay. Good.
There's a combination on the box.
Right.
And we'll give you that out. We'll give you that out too as well.
Okay. What was the other thing?
One more question on the pickleball. Will those be permanent nets, or are they going to be the temporary nets?
Temporary ones.
So they're in the box right now.
In the box.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is it's a basketball court too, and there's some people using it. So we're putting down a surface similar to a tennis court surface down with lines. So it's going to be a lot better than the slippery concrete that you normally play on. I think you're going to have a different bounce on the balls. I think it'll be a nice addition. And we had most of the material we have donated. We got a big donation from a convention in Las Vegas that didn't want to ship back all their stuff, and they donated to the city. So
That's great.
we're kind of saving a lot of money on this.
Very good. Anything further for Julie? Okay, now we're going to move on to item number 5. Sharice has been patiently waiting her turn. First, we need to approve the operational porch for the aquatic division.
I motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Julie, I'm sorry, Sharice.
You can call me whatever you want, just don't call me late to dinner. All right, what's going on at the pool? Our lessons and aerobics are kind of status quo. However, since we started the preschool lessons, those have been very well received. I think a lot of the moms are relieved that they don't have to get in the water with their kiddos anymore.
So we do plan to continue with that and increase that, hopefully. Just need instructors and space. I'm continuing to reformat our swimming lessons, the structure, adding more preschool, and getting everything kind of more in line with Red Cross methods and format. So I hope to have all that in place by summer. So we're kind of a hybrid program right now. We have some that's already ready and going, and some that is in progress. We have 5 newly certified water safety instructors. They finished up the beginning of January, and I've been working them into the program. 4 of them, I've been working them into the program. The other one is also our current water aerobics instructor, and he has some great ideas for a couple of new classes this summer that I'm excited for. He's less interested in teaching children and more interested in some specialized adult classes. I am still in need of 1 or 2 morning lifeguards, so continue to let people know if you know anybody who can work that early morning shift and get me off the deck. So that'd be great. I have several lifeguard potentials to interview for the upcoming summer season. As far as the facility, we've had the ongoing issue with the blower, but I think everything is finally, I think all the parts are in place. They had to replace the control panel. It had to go back. It was not configured quite right. They got that in. They had to replace bearings. And I'm not certain if the one heating element has been installed or not, but we finally have warm air in the bubble. It was chilly and raining, dripping all morning, every morning. So, steam rising off the water and all that. But we seem to be in a very good place right now. I had a new acid pump installed the first week of January, and after all the months of trying to figure out why we were going through so much acid, I think it boiled down to the previous pump was inefficient, not working right. So the last time I kind of calculated things, I think we're down to about half the use of what we were previously, so that's a good thing. And I don't really have a lot else going on, which is sometimes good.
You said you were looking for 2 more lifeguards. Do you train them, or do you need them to come to you trained?
This time of year, they really need to come to me trained. We don't have deep water this time of year with the only utilizing the main pool. So you can't do a full lifeguard course without being able to utilize some deep water and doing submerged victims and so forth. So okay. Red Cross has specific requirements.
Sure, thank you. Any other questions?
Just one. You reported last month that the pool heater situation had been going back and forth a number of times with Southwest Gas. I assume that finally got cleared up?
As far as Southwest Gas is concerned, yes. They replaced both regulators, one that's for the blower and one that's for the rest of the building, the building and the pool heater. We still are getting a little odor around the pool, and at this point, I'm trying to coordinate the heater tech and our HVAC guy, the city person, to come together at the same time and investigate. It seems to be coming from the vent from that pool heater, although the pool heater's been checked out, a couple of times now, and all the readings are correct and all that. It kind of comes and goes. So yeah, we're still dealing with that.
So on the main blower, you didn't have to replace the entire unit. You just had to replace transformer, fan, bearing, and the control panel.
I think that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the control panel was the most expensive item there. Because Public Works does so much of that, I don't always see the invoice. So I'm not sure on the bearings, what kind of price tag was on that.
Okay.
Or the heating element.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Cherie? Thank you. Next is item 5C from Director Hall regarding the municipal ad hoc pool committee.
That's a mouthful, huh? Well, staff continues to assist the facilitation of the Ad Hoc Pool Committee. The last meeting was held on January 21st in the City Council chambers here. And during this meeting, the committee received a report from the Finance Department on how city land lease revenues are distributed, throughout the city when we receive these funds. Finance Director Diane Pelletier gave a great presentation and possible recommendation on how to finance a replacement aquatic center. And this plan, if approved by City Council, would not, and I'll repeat, would not cause your property taxes to increase. That's a big thing. One of the biggest questions and problems we had with the last bond when we went out and were defeated was that any rates would increase your property tax. And this new plan that Diane and the Finance Department put together, Brock Armentrout, would not increase your property taxes. So we're really excited. It'll be a presentation to City Council in the near future, and we're looking forward to their approval of the plan. Other items discussed include pool design elements, options. Our Public Works Director has put together some design options, and basically, and also similar pool facilities as our aquatic center. And there will be an item on the February 11th City Council meeting to brief the City Council on the current progress of the committee. That would be February 11th at the City Council meeting. Also, timelines associated with bond questions were also discussed. And the next meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee is scheduled for February 18th, 4 o'clock in this room right here. Any questions?
Is it premature then for you, since it hadn't been presented to the City Council yet, for you to provide us with where that money comes from, if not from property tax?
It hasn't been, I can get you a copy. We do have a,
Do you want me to give a brief overview? It's public knowledge.
Go ahead.
I can give you a brief overview from my, starts off with the 1 million that has been donated. Thank you, Sheree. Donated from an anonymous donor. From there, there's discussion of using what's called excess revenues. So for instance, at the end of 2019, when everything was balanced out at the end of our fiscal year, funds that were in excess, so revenues versus expenditures, that excess fund, to have City Council earmark that from 2019 and moving forward, specifically to be put in a savings account for funding a future pool. All of these things would require, of course, City Council approval and would require voter approval, because any use of big monies like this, voter approval. But this is the plan. So excess revenues for the next couple of years, which would take us up to, we have the 1 million in donation. Excess revenues for a couple of years takes us up to 6 million. There'll be the first ballot question would be to use a one-time lump sum $7 million seed money from our CIP fund, which currently can only be used via voter approval. Currently, it has 9 million in it, so we're asking to, they're recommending to take 7 million seed money to also be put into the savings account to add to this plan. And then to annually move forward having a $1 million annual distribution to also be going towards this fund for the next couple of years. So the 7 million would be a one-time. She also discussed the amount of money that is going into that fund on a regular basis annually, because a percentage of lease revenues goes into that account. And really, reiterated the fact that this plan looks at the entire city as a whole and what monies and revenues the city has and projects that are being forecast. And all of those things are taken into consideration when the finance department came up with this plan, so that no other project or department or, potential opportunity is being jeopardized by this plan. So keep that in mind. So that with the seed money and then the other money annually going out for the next couple of years from annual distributions gets us up to about 24 million. Again, this is a couple years down the road. And then the final piece of the puzzle, depending on how much a pool comes to estimated construction costs, let's say it's a 30 million, and I'm just throwing that out there as an example. So the difference then would be from the 24 million, which is still an estimate, to the 30 million. So in this case, let's say 6 million that we have to come up with could be done through a bond. Again, this would be voter approved bond, but unlike the ballot question from before where we were going out and the money was going to be backed by taxpayer dollars, this would be like an independent loan that the city would just take out on their own. You have to pay it off in a shorter amount of time, which of course the finance department has a plan for that as well. But in the end, it is kind of a roadmap, a 3-year plan to come up with the funding so that this could actually come through to fruition in a nutshell. And I'll try to answer any other ones.
So if I'm understanding this, it's approximately 3 years to get the financing in place, and then the 2 to 3 years to build on top of that.
Yes, and one of the nice features about this plan is if everything is approved, which this will go to the voters in theory, because again, City Council hasn't seen it yet necessarily yet. If it does go forward, then it would be on the ballot for November of 2020 election. So there's still plenty of time to educate ourselves, the community, et cetera. And if council chooses to have it on the agenda, to have ballot questions and have it approved, and the residents like it and do want to approve it, we'll know November of 2020, which could mean that council could consider doing, utilizing some of that seed money to start a design process, so that while we won't be completely full for 3 years as far as funding goes, there are some steps to the process that could take place prior to in essence somewhat expedite, because you're really not expediting, but you're just not having it start as late as 3 years from now once you have that full money, because once the plan is approved, that kind of encompasses the big piece of the puzzle being the funding. So, but maybe could start some of those other items like, going out for an RFP, for building, which takes, maybe 6 months, and then the design, which takes 6 months. We can maybe start some of that of the process, if that's how City Council wants to move forward.
And we're going to be putting this, it'll be an item on the City Council agenda for the council to weigh in on this process. This is very preliminary right now, and but we were excited that there is a plan. So we're kind of waiting to see what council will do.
Is there discussion of where they're thinking about the pool being? Is it still considered in Broadbent Park, or have they discussed other locations?
That really hasn't been discussed, but I would think it would be in Broadbent Park. There were some inferences made that it would stay in Broadbent Park because they want to keep control of the racquetball courts, possibly, and maybe attach the pool complex to the south of it or something. They're still working on that. Again, we're far from any decisions being made.
Wonderful, thank you.
One question Roger, last time we talked about these temporary pools, or I forgot the name of them, but you were going to go.
Mirtha Pool, yes.
Did that ever happen? And
Yeah, we had city staff that went down. I think Julie went down and saw it. Keegan, our public works director, went down. The two pools in question were used for a swim meet in Las Vegas and were sold at the time. And I guess they give a pretty good deal out if to people that would want a pool of this, and we've done a pretty good investigation on the pool, and it seems to work out good. It's a lot lighter than a regular concrete pool because they use it on skyscrapers and other facilities, and actually the construction time is much quicker than a normal pool. So we're still looking at it. Again, I don't know if the city would purchase something like this, but it was kind of cool to see what they offer.
And when you talk about design on the new pool, and I guess really it's a ways out there, but would it be modifying the existing design, or would it be starting from scratch? Or has that been decided?
Well, that really hasn't been decided yet. However, council has looked at what was proposed and have cut some items out of that to try to lower the cost of that. But nothing's been decided yet. They're still talking about it. You can watch, you can watch the meetings now on YouTube. There's a channel, so if you're interested in watching the meetings, let us know. We'll give you the contact there, and it's kind of cool to see the meetings, so you don't have to be there, but you can watch them if you'd like to.
Is there any more efforts in finding donations? Is there any more efforts to finding donations for the pool?
We're always looking for donations. We had a $1.3 million donation, and we're very grateful to that. And the word is out. Yes, we're still looking for grants and donations.
I was curious because before the last election, the old mayor and the two incumbents were saying that there's probably a lot of donations out there. And it doesn't seem like after that one donation, that was it.
Well, I was approached by another lawyer that had the possibility of one. I haven't heard from this person for a while, but he had another person that was interested in donating. So I might make contact with him and see what we can work out.
Have we checked with the old incumbents to find out where their sources were or where they thought they were going to get the money?
I haven't, no.
Is it something we should pursue?
Possibly.
I mean, knowledge is great.
Very
and
good.
If they have it, we should get it, right?
If we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks for enlightening us on the pool committee. Appreciate it. Item number 6 is Director Hall regarding Bootleg Canyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Flightline ridership was down for the calendar year 2019. There were 6,568 total riders in 2018 compared to 3,910 riders in 2019. That's 2,658 less riders. But when you look at the statistics, in 2019, wind cancellations were at an all-time high of 134 days for 2019. And that wind cancellation really affects the number of riders that can go down, compared to 113.75 days in 2018 and 97 days in 2017. So wind cancellations, we had a very windy year in 2019, and it really affected their bottom line. There are a number of special events are scheduled at Bootleg Canyon. There's 5 big events coming up. Saints and Sinners 1/2 marathon on February 15th. We have a bicycle ride women's tour on February 24th and 26th on the River Mountain Loop Trail. We have a youth cycling event. This is a Nevada Interscholastic Cycling League that we've had for a couple years up there on February 29th. Our top riders in high school, compete up at Bootleg Canyon. We have Reaper Madness on March 13th and through the 15th. And then we have Blood, Sweat, and Beers on March 28th. These are some of the major special events that we have up there. So that's the end of my report.
Any questions for Director Hall?
you just said that several of the best high school students, is there a mountain bike club in the high school?
Well, this is a Nevada Interscholastic Cycling League. It's a league. So if you have, I believe if you have interested people that are good in that, then you can contact them. And it's basically high school kids utilizing Bootleg Canyon for races.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions regarding Bootleg Canyon? Okay, and we're on to number 7, and this is the Parks and Recreation Commission reports. So this is commissioners' opportunity to bring up things you may have heard or observations you may have regarding the Parks and Recreation Department.
I just have one comment. Roger, in veterans, along that pathway, the asphalt pathway from the southeast corner of the soccer fields to the restrooms over by the splash facility, there's some kind of tree disease going on in there, it looks like. It's spreading from pine tree to pine tree, and there's about 5 or 6 of them affected now in that area. And I noticed it about 6-8 months ago, and it's just sort of progressed. So I don't know if, I'd hate to lose those big trees, but.
No, we'll thank you for letting us know. We'll let Public Works know. Maybe they can send an arborist out there and take a look.
Yeah, and they're also working and been working for maybe 6 months or so on one of those shade facilities just south of, almost adjacent to the splash park there. The ground's been torn up and there's cones laying around and open trenches, but it's been that way for 6 months or so. That surprises me. I mean, I know
is it irrigation work or is it?
Irrigation work, it looks like. The lawn is dead in there. And,
well, we'll check that out too as well. One of the things that we're looking at too is we're going to be replacing not the city, but we have a contractor in there replacing the surface on the splash park. Again, we did have some mold issues on the top surface, and they're coming in. I don't know the exact date, but hopefully it'll be done before we open up in May.
I guess following up regarding vets also, I've had some more comments or more questions about when and if a leash law is going to be, the leash law ordinance will be revisited. There was some point in the past where we talked about that, I think.
Right now, the city is approving code amendments for the existing code and finalizing it with city council. Once that's done, then new amendments to the city code will be introduced, and the police department is planning on doing something at that time.
Okay, thanks.
So it's coming. It's just we have to go through a process. We're codifying the existing ordinances and having those approved, and then once those are finally approved and codified, then we'll put new ones in. And I know the police department was willing to go forth with that.
Thanks.
I have an item here. We've been having some issues with vandalism in our city parks, and one of the big things that really bugs me, we try very hard to provide the best facilities to our residents, both young kids and adults, and we're finding that it takes a few bad apples to spoil a barrel, but we do have a few bad apples here that are causing issues with vandalism in our parks. Recently we had some issues where they're ripping down windscreen around our swimming pool, and we had to basically get new windscreen. We've had in the detention basin ditches, the concrete lined water control facilities, they're writing nasty things on the walls, and I had to put a work order in for 2 large sections on the Georgia Channel. We encourage anybody seeing vandalism, they should contact the Boulder City Police Department and let them know. The more eyes looking out for our facilities, the better off we are. And if you do see something, you don't have to get involved, just call the police. They take care of it. You're not even mentioned. But we need more eyes on our facilities, and hopefully we can kind of make this bad thing go away. So, But I'll pass these pictures up. These are the pictures of the windscreen.
In connection with that, I know that we've had several cameras put up. Have you found that where those cameras are, it's gotten better? Or you can just catch them easier?
The pictures that Roger just gave you, those areas are hidden from the cameras by the bubble. So we did go back and try and look at the cameras, and the view of them are obscured by the actual bubble being up. In the summer, you can see it as plain as day, but in the winter with the bubble up, you can't see it at all. But yes, like down at Hemingway with the cameras up, less vandalism, less trouble.
Any other commissioners or staff have anything else to bring up? Okay, next is public comment. Seeing no public, assuming no comment.
I do have one thing I forgot to say.
Okay.
In February, I'm planning a swim-a-thon fundraiser. I don't have all my details, all my ducks in a row quite yet, but the plan is for February 29th, and for folks who want to participate to get sponsors. You know, so much a lap or a flat donation, and I'm trying to decide who should benefit from that, but one of the things tossed around is the emergency aid of Boulder City. So, and I'm working with Sarah Carroll, the swim coach, and Katie as well to see, I think if we get their swimmers in, maybe that'll encourage general public as well to come in and participate.
Great.
Tom's your emergency aid guy.
Save the stamp.
Thank you.
No other comments? With that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion, adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.